I will take the guy who has the lowest floor on the team so far, and that is Bryce Huff. He has been garbanzo, probably on track to be the worst Howie Roseman free agent signing in his history. And so, this is one where I was wrong on it in the offseason. You joke about the Josh Sweat comparison, Zach, but they paid him more money than they're paying Josh Sweat. Certainly, they were expecting him to be more productive. It is the sliding doors of the offseason. They could have paid, as we talked about last week, a little bit more for Jonathan Grenard. Maybe they could have paid for Xavier McKinney instead and not sign CJ Gardner-Johnson, and then you play for a different edge rusher, all these different things. However, the problem is, I feel like the focus on him being able to be a full-time player and playing on rundowns is not the problem. Like, that would be a bonus. The problem is he can't even get after the quarterback in these obvious pass rush situations. He's been terrible. And I just have to believe that even though he was the fourth option for the Jets and was maybe taking advantage of attention being paid elsewhere, and maybe those numbers were too high, even with that, like, they have to find a way to get him playing like a regular NFL player, because he has looked completely lost. And I know Baldy has talked about the 4-point stance versus the 2-point stance. If there is something to that, if there is, maybe Vic Fangio will let him do that. But I mean, 0 quarterback hits. He has to be a little bit better than that.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking regarding the Bryce Huff conversation is, like, this is also the value of us watching training camp every day, right? Because you can hear all the things they say, excited about this player, so on and so forth. If you go back and read our training camp notes, one of the consistent themes was, like, Bryce Huff's not getting to the quarterback. And you kind of put it, he's going up against Lane Johnson. Like, this is where I actually do think in training camp the comparison to Hassan Reddick is appropriate. It is not right about, like, the way that Hassan Reddick was rushing early in his career with the Eagles in regular season games. But in training camp, it did look like this for Hassan.
Sure.
But Bryce Huff is, like, I'm trying to figure out what he does really well, right? And he's not, like, particularly bendy around the edge. He's supposed to have more power, I suppose, but you don't really see the speed, the power come through when you watch him play. And then I watched the Jets yesterday. It might just be that system and that personnel frees guys up. They have guys down the depth chart getting to the quarterback.
Surprisingly, Jermaine Johnson is one of the other guys who has no quarterback hits.
He's injured.
He's hurt.
I know, but even when he had snaps.
Sure. Yeah, so I am look, I said going into the offseason that Bryce Huff's a guy I would target. I was looking at those numbers. I was looking at the age profile. So I got to say, I was wrong here too, but I'm not paid to make these decisions, right? So this has been underwhelming in a major way. And
I imagine it is mystifying to them, right? Like,
well, I would imagine mystifying to Howie. We don't know what Vic Fangio wanted, so that's it, but certainly mystifying to Howie.
So here's how I approached it, because I had him on my list as well, and so I was like, all right, if I end up having to make the argument for why you would have optimism, like if there's a path to him turning this around, what would the path be? One of the markers that a lot of people look at for the successful pass rushers is you go to Next Gen and you look at the GPS stuff and the movement and the get off. And if you look at, like, the average get off time and you say, all right, who are the guys that are first out of their stats? That is typically a really good marker for who some of the top pass rushers in football are. And you go every single year since Next Gen has made that data available. Again, whoever's at the top, it's usually a pretty good marker for who is getting after the quarterback best. Last year, Bryce Huff was 5th in that metric. And so far, through the first 5 weeks, I checked this morning, right now, Bryce Huff's tied for 9th in terms of his average get off. You have Nick Bosa and Myles Garrett at the top. Then you have Leonard Floyd, Will Anderson, Von Miller, Trey Hendrickson, Greg Rousseau, Darrell Taylor, and then it's Bryce Huff tied with Max Crosby for that 9th spot. So, like, he knows how to get off the ball, and that would be what I would say to point against Baldy's point about the 2-3 point stats. He's getting off the ball, okay. He's like stumbled on that second and third step. Yeah. He's getting pushed to the ground at the point of contact. So unless this guy
doesn't look like he has a plan at contact,
and that's
right?
That's what I mean. Like, unless this guy just completely forgot how to rush the passer, he has, like, no confidence right now, and that's why I look at it and say, this is something that, in theory, should be able to get flipped. Like, unless his brain just got left in North Jersey, like he's done it before, he's still getting off the ball. What's the path to him trying to figure this out? The next few games, Cleveland this week, that offensive line has been a sieve. And the right
they're
tackle,
missing their best player.
Well, Michael Dunn was activated this week, and we'll see if he ends up getting inserted into the starting lineup at all. But they're 31st right now in pressure rate. DeJuan Jones has really struggled with speed at right tackle. The Giants, they're bottom half in the league in pressure rate. Jermaine Illuminor, 4th most quick pressures allowed at right tackle. Amarius Mims, the right tackle for the Bengals. The Eagles play them in 3 weeks. He got carted off yesterday in the game against the Ravens. So you go down the list: Jacksonville, Dallas, Washington, the Rams. Offensive line issues galore.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity is there for Bryce Huff. It can't be what we saw the first 4 weeks. It's got to be better than that. I would say that he's a good candidate for this conversation.
And if he can just be a third down specialist,
yeah, that's a win.
That's fine.
Yep, that's a win.
That's fine.
If he gets to the quarterback, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
If he's just providing some pass rush juice, that's all they need.
The get off is that the marker that, to me, that would be like the number one marker you look for, and it's there. So there's no reason to say that unless he just completely forgot what he's doing, that it should continue down this road.
We all silly like the mayor.